comfortable with no weakness. Put it on the miss, no secret.
Mr. John Makdessi, how you doing, John? Good to see you, man.
Thank you for having me. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic, man. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us. I know you're coming right out of surgery, so let's kick it off with that, man. How are you feeling right now after the fight? It's such an amazing war you had with Ignacio Bahamondes. Tell us a bit about that. How you feeling?
I mean, overall, I feel good. I'm very happy I was able to go out there and perform, and I'm very happy to connect with a good team in Arizona, and working alongside the Javier Torres. So all in all, I mean, it was a great night, of course, for me, and to show the world that I still got what it takes.
Yeah, absolutely. You showed us that plenty. You revealed after the fight that you were going into surgery. You just got out of it. You had a problem with your foot. Could you share a bit of what happened and what the procedure was?
I mean, yeah, it was very weird. In the first round, I threw a kick or something, and then my second toe, I felt something very discomfort, and I had to block it off and had to adjust on even in the fight, I had to adjust in the first round. I broke it. So after I got checked, and it's pretty much a bone. I broke my bone, so they had to put it back in place, and they reinforced it with the metal plates and 4 screws.
Oh, so you're now a cyborg?
Yeah, my whole right side is funny. The whole right side of my body has been operated on.
From the bull to the Terminator now, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, like you said before, you prepared alongside Coach Javier at Ultimate Combat, but also at the MMA lab, right?
100%. Last year, my last fight in last year, I came to MMA lab. I wanted to train. I wanted to try something different. I connected with Javier, and then when I came back for this training camp, it was it was automatic. I spoke to Javier. I was at the MMA lab. A good bunch of guys, so we collaborated, and everything ran smoothly. He knew my opponent very well, fighting a Chile guy, so it just made sense for me to work alongside guys who understand his style and try to find bodies to mimic his style. And Javier is a great man and a great fighter. So sparring and training with Javier, it made me prepare for a guy like my opponent, because obviously Javier is a much bigger opponent, walks at 200 pounds, and I know that in the lightweight division, a lot of guys cut a lot of weight to try to get a size advantage. So I was well prepared for his body type and for his weight distribution.
Well, I'm under the understanding that you also had the chance to prepare alongside Benson Henderson. Am I correct?
For this training camp, Ben was actually undergone a surgery, so he wasn't really present.
Oh, I see. So
I trained. So Javier, I got to give all the credit to Javier. Javier did an amazing job monitoring, taking care of not only me, but other fighters. He's a great individual, a great mentor and a role model. He has his own business, has his own gym, has a lot of guys going, and he also trains himself. So my hat's off to Javier. Javier did a tremendous job getting me ready mentally and physically for this fight.
yeah, absolutely. That Latino, that Mexican work ethic shows. Was there anything special in your preparation for an opponent with the kind of reach and shifting stances like Bahamondes has? Because the way you were able to deal with his reach and actually bringing the fight to him was really effective. How much of this performance do you attribute to your experience in this scenario?
So that there's many things happen in a fight. The general public doesn't really understand, and this was a perfect example when the fighter and the trainer and the team communicate. Me and Javier were always in communication. We both were on the same page leading up to the fight, and and he told me, and I knew that I had to put pressure. Everyone knows me as a counter striker. Everyone knows me as I like to kind of step back and play it safe, in my past fights. But training alongside Javier, we really focus on being the aggressor and fighting him like a Mexican boxers. You look at Canelo Alvarez and a lot of high level boxers, they always keep the pressure, but intelligently. You know what I mean? Not taking too much damage. So it was a very you know, we're very fortunate. It played out to our favor. Staying, you know, no matter, we knew that he was going to come hard. We knew that he was going to come strong, but staying patient and experience. You know, being in the octagon for a long time, fighting high level UFC fighters. I knew that you know, it was going to be a durable fight, and I knew that eventually he was going to break mentally, because he's a young kid and he never you know, first time in the big leagues.
Well, you really showed your stripes and looked like a crafty veteran in there, no doubt. You delivered a gritty veteran performance. And like you said, Bahamondes was coming into this fight with a lot of hype. After the way he secured his contract in the Contender Series, and when it was announced that you were his first official opponent, I was personally stoked, because I know you're a crafty veteran and the matchup was a guaranteed action-packed, dynamic fight. What were your impressions of Ignacio before and after the fight? Did you learn anything from her in there?
I mean, for me, a fight is a fight. No, I don't really. I've been doing. For me, competition is competition. So you know, did I learn anything from fighting a guy like that? No, I mean, I just not really. You know, for me is it's just another obstacle in front of my way, but I always try to keep it. I always purposely keep it stand up. I always try to keep it exciting, because people, the fans, and I know Dana White, he loves strikers. He's a big fan of strikers, and. My only surprise was when he was trying to wrestle with me. That was a little bit unexpected, but again, you know, I was ready. I was prepared for whatever he brings to the table. You know, when he became a little bit desperate, he was holding on to me, clinching, trying to take me to the ground. Other than that, I expected him to be doing what he was doing, moving a lot and try to keep his distance.
What do you see for Bahamondes' future in the division? Because as a Chilean fan, I need to ask, and what better man to ask than you? You fought him, and you're an experienced veteran, so I really wanted to get your take on that.
Well, I take my hats off him. He's a young kid. He has a lot of. I mean, the sky is the limit for him. You know, at the end of the day, a fight is a fight. Because unfortunately, the sad part of mixed martial arts is that we don't fight frequently. So when we do fight, it's a more of a importance. But that being said, he's a young kid. Go back to the drawing board and just continue training and get back in there. That's all we can do as fighters. That's what we do. We train, we fight. We don't really. I don't try to overthink stuff. You know what I mean? So he has a lot of potential, and he showed a lot of heart, and he has great skills for him to be a top fighter one day. You know, it just that night wasn't for him.
Well, it was a war, no doubt about it. And I really wanted to ask you this. Did you feel cheated out of a performance bonus that night? Because after such a display in the cage by both, I mean, the fight was the unofficial fight of the night on social media.
Well, you know, my whole career was ups and downs. You know, if you want to go all the way back to the Rogers Center when I did the spinning back fist, there's so many good performances that I never got. Everybody's like, "Oh, John, you're gonna get the performance," and I never got it. Judges going favoriting the other guy, you know, getting misjudged, and even the decision I felt it was a unanimous decision, but they gave me a split decision. I mean, this is life, right? You cannot control it, but unfortunately, it is what it is. You know, I can't think of these things because it's something that's out of my control.
Yeah, I was gonna ask about that. I mean, I might be Chilean and all, and Ignacio might be my guy, right? But I still saw it as a unanimous decision for you. I have to be honest. And I was going to ask you that. What did you feel about the scoring of that card? Were you in any point thinking maybe I would probably get a split decision loss here?
Well, I was shocked when I heard the split decision. I was a little bit surprised, a little bit. But MMA judging has to evolve. I feel like, you know, they have very one dynamic. They're looking at one thing. You know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, you have to look at every aspect of the fight. In boxing, a boxer can win a round without throwing one punch. But in MMA, if you're making the other guy miss, they don't appreciate the art of countering and defense and slipping punches and moving and receiving less damage. You know what I mean? Like, that's the thing they don't understand. All they see is one guy throwing, I'm being the aggressor, so they give it to the other guy. You know what I mean? Sometimes I like to take a break, and I like to play defense. Sometimes I play offense. It depends on the situation, you know. So I don't know what the judges are looking at, and that's why this is something in the MMA world that MMA judging, everyone knows that we need to kind of evolve with the time and try to understand more. You know, try to score fights better than just whatever they're looking at.
Yeah, I don't know if you watched the last UFC card. There were a lot of calls there that I didn't agree with, and yeah, it's becoming an issue. We always talk about it, and of course, the MMA community has this as a subject close to the heart, right? So hopefully, we'll get it fixed sometime soon. I want to take you to what's next for you. I mean, you usually fight once a year. That's the rhythm that you've been getting for a while now. Are you planning to stay active in 2021? Because, man, after a performance like that, I would love to get me some more of those John Makdessi fights. You know?
Yeah, I appreciate that. Well, it's not that I choose to fight once a year. It's just life happens, you know. There's a lot of circumstances. I would like to be more active, 100%. I'm trying to get things back in order in my personal life, and then I have a lot of personal stuff. You know what I mean? Once everything is good and I get back on track, and I want to be much more active. I want to finish my career in a good, positive note, and I want to be known as one of the best strikers in MMA.
Yeah, absolutely. I wanted to ask you, how many fights do you have left on your deal right now?
Well, with the UFC, anything can happen. So I just go fight by fight. You know,
Oh,
they can tell you 4 fights, 6 fights, 7 fights, but you know the fighting is very unpredictable, and now with the COVID situation, it's very complex. So I just take it fight per fight, and you know I'm very lucky to connect with Javier, and we're gonna sit down with Javier and my team and see what's next. First thing is to get back to heal my body and get some fix my personal affairs, and then once that's all done, I can have a clear mind, so I can just focus solely on my next fight.
what do you think the UFC matchmakers want for you next?
Well, my first, you know, UFC changed a lot. I was working with Joe Silva, now Sean Shelby. I
Yeah.
mean, of course, like I said, you know, they know I'm a striker, so they always, you know, it depends. You know, it's like rolling the dice. There's a lot of variables. There's over 600 fighters in the UFC roster, so it's very complex. You know, what I mean, it's a very MMA is a very interesting business.
Yeah, no doubt about that. So, what do you guys want? Because I know that you need to go back to the war room with Javier and the rest of the team, of course. But if you had to pick, what would you like to go next with?
I always want. I asked for a top 15 fighter for sure. I think I'm ready for a top 15 fighter.
Do you have any names in mind, or anyone can do the trick?
I mean, you know, top of my head, you know, I think like a guy like Justin Gaethje, guys who are you know strikers in the top 10, top 15, guys who are gonna who make it, who are very tough opponents, challenging. You know, I think it will be a good matchup for me. Top of my head, I don't really know, but you know, I leave it up to the UFC and leave it up to whatever they think is best next.
Yeah, absolutely. We're definitely gonna be
How
waiting
about
for
you?
that.
How about you? Who you think I should fight next? What do you think?
You know what?
We'll see. Maybe go down to 145 in fact and fight Max Holloway. We'll see. I don't know.
Wow, now that's a good one. The King of the Hawaiians for sure. That's a fight I would love to watch, man. But
Yeah.
if you ask me, like real quick, I think maybe a Gregor Gillespie or a Kevin Lee or maybe a Diego Ferreira to mix it up. Those are the kind of
There you
names
go.
that come to mind. What are your thoughts on the current landscape of the division? Because there's a lot of things going on in the upper echelons. What do you like? I'm sorry. Do you like the way the UFC matched up the top contenders?
Do I like? I mean, it's you know, it's one of you always there's many factors in the MMA world. You got to look at it in a entertainment perspective. You know, you can't just look at it you know, skills to skill or experience to experience. Like I said, there's so many things happening. There's a lot of UFC fighters, so they kind of play the roulette. You know, they roll the dice. So sometimes a lot of things don't make sense, but they need to make things rolling. You know, and right now UFC is a big, one of the biggest organizations in the world, and they have a lot of fighters and they have a lot of supply and demand, so they got to make things work. So, I mean, do I agree with it? Me personally, it's not up to me to decide. But I also respect the business aspect of things, and I also respect the fact that there's so many factors, there's so many things, there's a lot of unknown that people don't, that we don't really understand. So I know that they have to they got to make moves quick.
Yeah, absolutely. It's no doubt that the UFC has definitely filled this void of the COVID situation with a lot of exciting fights, and I think we can all agree it's something great to have as a fan and as a fighter as well, because it allows you to keep yourself active during a difficult time. I really want your take on what's happening right now. Chandler versus Oliveira for the title. What do you like? What do you like there? Do you like anyone in particular?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great fight. Both guys are obviously they have a good momentum, a good win streak, and I'll give the edge a little bit to Chandler, just because of his his base, and also I feel like it's going to be a great fight. We'll see what happens, but I'll give the edge to Chandler.
Yeah, that looping hand there. I think Oliveira might get it. I agree with you on that one. And how about Poirier McGregor trilogy? Who are you picking that one?
Yeah, that's going to be a good fight. I mean, it depends. Again, fighting is so unpredictable. One guy can be winning the fight, and then next thing, the whole table can switch on just one kick. Poirier, I felt Conor was getting the best out of Poirier, and then Poirier, throw those low kicks and kind of switch the table around. So it's going to be interesting. Hopefully after this fight, that chapter's closed, because all these trilogies and all these things are becoming very interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, John, I wanted to thank you for taking the time out of your recovery, because as we said at the beginning, you're coming out of surgery, so I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to me. I really want to hear you talk to the fans, like the actual fans like me, who are on the daily, wanting to see the fights, wanting to see everything about the UFC, about MMA. If you have a message for your fans, I'd love to hear it, man.
Yeah, I mean, first off, if it wasn't for the fans, we wouldn't be able to do what we love. The fans are what makes the sport, what makes the sport, what makes the sport alive. And having no fans, no audience, of course, it's always been something hard to deal with. But without the fans, the fighters are nothing. The fans, the media, the journalists, you guys are like our voices. It's very important to have people like you guys to keep supporting the fighters, because it's a very tough sport. It's a very it's a very violent sport, and all the fighters, we sacrifice everything to give the fans excitement, blood, sweat, and tears. So my hat's off to the fans, and I love you guys, and thank you for the continuous support.
Well, John, my table is a small table, but you're always welcome in it. I'd love to talk about the fights. I'd love to talk about the struggle of the fighters and everything that comes with this sport. So thank you so much for being with me today. Thank you for being with For the Win.
Thank you, guys.
Kote on a mission, no secrets. Flick of the wrist, don't sleep, please come for your head, you need Jesus.